Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all good. Now, some of you may have seen a couple of videos back, I made this haunted smoke resin with black alcohol ink and purple mica with some glass mirrors. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it down below and I'll link it above. After this video, I decided I really wanted to try blood. Okay, I have to try it, I have to do it, and I'm going to be using this dark red alcohol ink by Let's Resin, and I'm excited. Let's go. So I am really sorry in advance if you're not a blood fan, but just think of it as red alcohol ink and resin and just put that word blood out of your mind. So similar to the previous video, I would recommend putting a thin layer of resin down on your silicone molds before you pour the alcohol ink. Oh my gosh, just look at this. Oh, I absolutely love it. I'm in awe sometimes of these materials and how they look, what they go like, and yeah, there's no control either. Resin does what resin wants. So yeah, anyway, back to it. This is what I was saying. Put resin down first before you pour your alcohol ink drops. Two reasons: it can just stay on your silicone. It won't flow, it won't move like it does where you see here in this video. Sometimes you'll end up with circular blobs when you demold, and it can take away from the results. If you're looking for the cloudy effect, it can take away from it. So that is all you do with these. This is what makes it so easy. It's 2 ingredients: resin, alcohol ink. That's it. Bob's your uncle. It's such an easy one to do, and the effects, the results are just stunning. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. So that's all I do. I fill up the mold until I'm done and then push that to one side, and we're going for the black now. This is just black alcohol ink. I'm not using anything else like I did in the previous video. This is purely just black and resin on its own. And already, just look at it. It's just haunted house vibes. It's cobwebby. It's smoky. I absolutely love it. And again, sorry if the big massive cup of resin keeps getting in shot, but I hope you can kind of get the idea of what I'm going for here, and you can see enough to be able to take on board what I'm saying and what you're seeing and all of that. So I do exactly the same thing again. I just fill up the mold, push it to one side, and then I move on to the coffin. Now, in the last video I made a coffin and I absolutely love the results, but I found it really hard to demold, and I have to say that's the first time I've actually come across an issue with demolding resin in these cheaper molds. And I feel like it is because the mold is now getting old. So of course you could use mold release spray. I don't own any. I've never used it. I've never had a need to use it. But I feel like now is the time. If I want to use that coffin mold again, I would have to use it. This is another coffin mold because I've got 5. And yeah, this is just out of the drawer, a less used one. So it's going to hopefully demold really easily. But yeah, same principle. Pour your resin, drop your alcohol, pour your resin, drop your alcohol, and just try to break up those alcohol drops. Try and break them up and get some clarity in there as well. I just love it. It reminds me of that creepy cloth. The creepy cloth I used in my last video. It just reminds me of that so much, and I love it. So here we are in the lid. A lot less alcohol ink is going into the lid, but that's because it's such a small, shallow little mold. And as I did in the last video, so these lids are notorious for 2 things. Air bubbles under this. Look, where I'm pointing, they are air bubbles here and all the way around. Where you see those white spaces, that's air. So you really have to get in there with a cotton bud and get those out. If you don't get those out, you will have giant chips in the side of your lid, and just spend a good minute getting those air bubbles out. Obviously use gloves because you're getting very, very close to the resin at this point. I mean, use gloves always, but yeah. So that is what I did, and we are onto the pot now. With the pots, similar to the coffin, I kind of find them easy because, like, you just pour the resin on, pour the alcohol ink, pour the resin on, and you're almost leaving this up to fate now, letting it do its own thing, spending less time putting the resin in certain places. I'm just gonna pour it on, see what it goes, bit by bit. Yeah, and that was it. I absolutely love the results of the reds, but yeah, we'll talk about that afterwards. So I had enough resin left over to just make another quick black one, but with this one I decided to pour on about 10 or 15 drops of alcohol ink and fill it straight to the top. There was no messing around in between, so I guess we'll see what it comes out as. I did put a few drops on the top, but that was it. I didn't layer it up like I layered all the others, and yeah, we'll see what it looks like. But yeah, I just absolutely love the effects they give, and this one here looks super cobwebby. Another note is do not use your torch or a lighter when you're using alcohol ink. Trust me, I've been there, I've done it. I only did it once, okay, and then there was a fire. It was a very small fire, but lesson learned. I know that alcohol and fire does not mix, but my brain wasn't actually switched on, and I just automatically reached for my lighter to take those air bubbles off the top. Do not do that. Okay, anyway, it was all good. Let me know what you think of this. I absolutely love it. It reminds me of Blood Splatter. It reminds me of gory Halloween decor. This one here, love it. The wispy. Now, I know I say that resin does what resin wants, but truly this came through. I feel like the alcohol ink gathered back in the center to create this almost witch. I want to say witch. It's a figurine. I can see a figurine. Obviously, turning the tray around the other way, I can see a head, I can see 2 arms and 2 legs, and it's crazy, right? It's like the Wicker Man or something. Can you all see it? It's not just me, is it? But yeah, it looks to me like a woodland fairy dancing. I don't know. I can see so much, and that's what I love about this, that you can just interpret the way the alcohol ink has moved and just create so many different images in your head. But I absolutely love them. Now, something I have to quickly talk about. I posted that red Blood Splatter resin on my TikTok and Instagram, and everyone was really positive. I actually labelled it Squid Game resin because, oh my gosh, if you haven't seen Squid Game, check it out. Get through the first half hour, that's a bit cheesy, but the rest is amazing. If you're not into blood and gore, do not watch Squid Game, but I labelled it Squid Game resin, and everyone was really positive about it. And I had one message from one of my lovelies saying, why is that Squid Game resin? So I just assumed she hadn't seen Squid Game. And I said, have you seen it? It's incredible. She said, yeah, I've seen it. I just don't understand why you've called that resin Squid Game resin. And I said, it's because of the program, and everyone who's seen it will know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of blood. So it kind of reminded me of it. Therefore, I named it Squid Game resin. And it really got me thinking because, as an artist, a maker, a creator, whatever you decide to call yourself, you have the absolute right and absolute autonomy on what you call your work, what you name it, what you label it. It's the same as eyeshadows, guys. Eyeshadows come out with some crazy names, but it really is down to you as the maker of the piece to call it whatever you want. It reminded me of being in an art gallery when you're looking at art thinking, I don't understand, I can't interpret that to what the artist has actually called it. But yeah, do you know what I'm saying? You could paint a blue line on a canvas and call it 3 dogs swimming in the ocean, even though there's no dogs, because you are the artist. And I just love the fact that I was questioned about it. I don't know, it made me feel like an actual artist, that someone was questioning my decision. I loved it, basically. So yeah, it's great to question, it's great to ask questions, and it's great to be questioned. But yeah, just know that as a creator, you get to decide, you get to choose what you call it yourself. Now, this coffin was probably the best result I've had on a coffin in a long while. The smoky effect on this reminded me of like a woodland with trees. I could see trees, I could see all sorts in this, but spending that bit of extra time using a cotton bud to go underneath that lid really paid off. Probably the best result on a coffin lid that I've had to be honest. There's not one single solitary air bubble or chip out of the side. So it's definitely worth just spending a minute getting that cotton bud, because even in my last video you guys would have seen a big chunk out of the side where I just didn't spend enough time observing it. And like I said, they don't fit the base. Now some molds do, but I find that the molds I have, they are notorious for just not fitting the base. Now because this has only been 24 hours, there's still a little bit of give in that coffin base. So what I would do is pull it slightly open, get that lid on, and then put a sheet of plastic, either polyurethane or a food bag or even cling film, put a sheet of something between them both, clamp them closed so that they are closed, and then a whole day later they will be fully rock hard set. Won't be able to budge them at all, but the lid will always go on and off. So yeah, here's the black set. I am obsessed with those patterns. I love that our brains can actually see things in the pattern. And yeah, do you know what I mean? Again, it's your own interpretation. And there is the red set. Let me know which one you prefer, red or black. I'm definitely loving the red, I have to say. It does remind me of horror. It reminds me of Halloween gore. It reminds me of Squid Game. And yeah, Scorsese, however you say his name. But yeah, this black tray though, it's just, my brain is giving me all kinds of interpretations of what that looks like. The edges of the coffin I absolutely love. And I also love that the resin played ball with the alcohol ink in exactly the same way as the lid. So they both really go together. So here you see me just struggling to put it on, but ignore that bit. Definitely put a piece of plastic between there, and that's exactly what I did. Now that coffin did sell because I put it on TikTok and it sold immediately. So that was exciting for me. As for these, let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much if you've made it this far. We are nearly 12 minutes in. I massively appreciate you, and I have absolutely loved these. I feel like I could do this kind of resin all day, every day, because no two items are ever going to be the same. I think the black pot holder pretty much came out the same as it would have done if I'd have layered it up, to be honest. I didn't see a dramatic difference, but I definitely saw some drips, like it was, you know how something drips down the edge of a wall or comes down the side of a wall? It looked more like that than the red one does. So yeah, there was a definite difference, but that's it from me, and I think I've said absolutely way too many times in this video, so apologies for that, and I'm gonna try to not say that word so often. I also need to, yeah, increase my vocabulary of description words. Oh, I love it. Anyway, I'm going to stop staring at the screen, and thank you so much to everybody. I will see you all in the next video. Until then, bye.